Tentatively, it is 15th set, of course, for the resumption of the Uganda Premier League, and other leagues are also expected to start. But of course, a lot of things happening now. As we talk right now, FIFA has started a mandatory vaccination, and letters that were submitted to different stakeholders in this league indicates that all clubs have to be vaccinated for you to acquire a license, club registration, and a lot more in there. We'll be engaging in 1 and 2, and of course I have a list of panelists in the studios, but of course, all in all, I have the usual suspect, Oscar the Brazilian, in the studios, and he is the man probably who sometimes says he's a Congolese and he's not a Ugandan. He sees what we people, the Ugandans, do, and that is one thing. My name is Owen, and Oscar joins me in the studios right away in the Oscar. Most welcome and good afternoon.
Well, thank you so much. I'm privileged to be here straight from DR Congo.
But Oscar, Kerimundu, you can hear that is not a Congolese name.
You see, the tribe my grandfathers subscribed to cuts across from South Sudan, from Congo. I mean, even when times for independence, I have dual citizenship, but all the same, if you trace my roots, you can find it in Congo. Our farming is even is border. I can do in Congo, I can do this side. So I qualify.
Another one joining me in the studios here is, of course, the PR of Onduparaka Football Club. Someone will be wondering why he's here. He's here to talk about Onduparaka Football Club. A lot of things. He's an analyst, he's a banker, he's a lot. And probably we will always engage him in different things in there. Now, as I talk right now, we will be engaging him with this very issue because Onduparaka is one of the teams that has affiliated to FUFA. Now, Drabe Godfrey is the man I'm talking about. Most welcome, and welcome to the Whistle Time once again.
Thank you so much, and it's a very rare opportunity to somebody to host you. I do appreciate it.
Now let's start with this very big one and look at what exactly is happening. If you look at the current situation, clubs have been having games behind closed doors. That is one. No money probably for the clubs. For those who do not have sponsors, will also still have all this. But right now, FIFA has come up with a mandatory test. Vaccination. It used to be testing, but this time around it's vaccination. A vaccination, which of course is free of charge, you could say. Right now, you go to these health centers, you go to the hospitals, they're giving it to you for free. And FIFA did impose that for you to get registered, you need to have a vaccination card. Whereby, okay, registrations are done. I saw the Onduparaka team also being fined because late, maybe you didn't have the vaccination card. But we've seen that then
even club licensing.
And now club licensing is in process, and that is one
for
thing.
you to be seconded. It is a must. Recently, also saw the RCC of Soroti saying for you to get access to that office, you must be vaccinated.
So you look at all this, and those are some of the things in there. How prepared is Onduparaka for this?
You know, everything that is a requirement, you must be able to do it. There's no way you have to run away from a requirement that you are supposed to meet. But we are ready to do anything that the Federation wants from us. And recently, they came to check on the stadium, inspection was done. I think we are only remaining with the 1 or 2 things to be able to get set and host the games at Green Light.
Now, of course, this is one big thing that is coming in there for the teams to get, of course, in this COVID period, and probably hope if vaccinations go on well, all these clubs will be coming, and maybe the fans will also come back on form right there. But looking at that, you could be talking about one of the biggest things happening in the world of sports. Now, Oscar, if you look at football, vaccination, is it supposed to be a must, or it is supposed to be voluntarily? Because one thing that is happening, even some people have not yet vaccinated up to now, because they feel
majority,
it is at a will.
Yeah, that's one of the points for me. I mean, according to what Ministry of Health has been putting, they are going to conduct voluntary vaccination. That means government has a responsibility of availing the vaccine. Now it should be upon an individual, just like it is me. to choose whether I should go to the hospital or not when I'm feeling okay or not. It's me to choose to go because it's my health. If I don't want, it is up to me. But again, this one I understand it is a pandemic, and again on the other side, some scientists say your natural body immunity is much more better. We have had people who have fought the COVID. They have actually recovered. We are well aware that this is not a cure. It is just a vaccine, and for which even your natural immunity and protecting yourself alone can guarantee you something. But I'm not saying people should not go and vaccinate. People should go and vaccinate, provided you are not being forced to go and do it. I think that's, to me, where the issue actually comes in. Now, it gets so worrying for me, especially where FUFA has reached to, that even for FUFA to recommend you must have been vaccinated. Where does that come from? Now, for Drabe here, if he would need to be given a role, maybe in a PR somewhere across to represent Uganda, he must be vaccinated, or else he misses the opportunity. Now, why should it be that way? I feel, to me, FUFA is going overboard.
It's becoming like a national ID. You have to move, and that is one thing. But of course, let's get to Drabe. You look at this. Are you still going to imply this on, maybe have you received notifications from the Federation of how, because tentatively we may see that fans may be involved in this now, the coming season. Games may not be played behind closed doors, maybe around 200 something, okay, numbers may be in there. Are you also going to be looking forward to see that fans need to come with their vaccination cards to access the perimeter fences, maybe access the stadium?
In referring to the guidelines released by the President of the Republic of Uganda, as far as the COVID restrictions are done, he relaxed in a number of things, including sports. And if you look at other activities, he emphasized that the number of gatherings, the number of people that gather should at least be 200. That means that sports activities are not exceptional, they are part of it. So it doesn't guarantee that it will allow people to go and access the games when they are vaccinated, no. But the most important thing is observing social distance and other standard operating procedures that are already in place that we have to enforce. Those are some of the things that we rely on, not necessarily vaccination. Unless another tougher guideline comes, that's when you can be able to bend to. But as far as I know, the standard operating procedures are the key things that we're supposed to observe and ensure that we have order.
Now, that's one of the biggest things that is happening in there. If you look at the standard operating procedures, it is one thing that has caused very many clubs issues because of they are not abiding. The fans come in there. This time around, what strategy are you going to use to make sure that these fans don't really cause what has been caused by them previously in different clubs? Okay, let's say India. Some clubs were fined in there because the numbers that were given surpassed the limit that was needed.
See, one of the things, the key things that we're going to get on for our fans, those ones who have seasonal ticket holders, those are some of the things we shall have for fans to ensure that we don't want disruption, we don't want disorganization at the earliest stage. You know, when something is very strict, you have to rely on one. It comes with penalties. The team going to play home games outside a row, it's going to be a tough moment. So we have to get to understand each other. Fans will be able to understand us. So if some of the decisions will feel that they are harsh for them, but we have to do them, but for the good of the team, not really to please our fans every time that fans should be happy, and yet we fail to observe some of the key things highlighted by the Federation. It would be very unfortunate, but those are some of the things we shall be able to have in place for our fans.
Now, Oscar, if you look at these very fans, we're talking about others used to fly over the fence because they were restricted to get in for the games. This time round, yes, the PRO is assuring they're only ticket holders. I don't know how many they are who will be accessing in there. Where will that take the club, and where, of course, will the club benefit from that?
I have a bit of experience in where Green Light is. It's surrounded by buildings where people can actually easily access. Mango trees are available. I remember that's one of the things we were using when we were at Barifa, when Ediofes was still playing at Barifa. if you can't access the stadium, at least you climb. And that's what I'm seeing. People always do climb. The mango trees will be around, people always plant them. And that's the risk, that's one thing. So and I really still think this is going to push people to do more of the extreme. Because you're going to limit to the 200, I agree, because it's a directive. They are still going to be pushing people, especially young kids. They want to watch the game at all costs, and they'll be up there. I only wonder if it's a live game, how it's going to be like, who cover people, spectators. But to me, I feel one other challenge I see with these restrictions government is giving. Let's look at clubs. Most clubs are struggling. They're really struggling. Now you're limiting only to 200 people. And how much will the gate collection be? And remember, these gate collections are the ones that can facilitate players' allowances. Those other people who go to give first aid, you can give them the officials. Those other people that play behind the scenes, the people that Onduparaka employ, the gate people, the askaris, paying small bills like water, electricity, those kind of things. Now, all these costs will have to be shouldered by the club. At least those days when you used to have a lot of, you have funds going, you know that this team is going to get something. Now, even these small things we call tip, a player scored a goal. If there are 3,000 people, at least one is giving 5,000, 2,000 to a player or two. Those small tips, they motivate. But now I see much more of a bigger challenge. Now the question comes in, how prepared is Onduparaka? Especially us knowing that they have not been well off financially, just like there's no any other team that can be 100% well off. So how prepared are they to fill in the gap now that the funds may not be in large numbers? Those small monies that were collected, how much have they prepared and how much have they collected to make sure that all these gaps are filled?
Yeah, if you look at that, of course, we are seeing big names probably would be saying into the teams of Onduparaka. Maybe they are prepared. I just want to, because if you look at the assessment, it's one big thing that is coming through. And Onduparaka Football Club, the names that, I remember the PRO confirming to us here, the one name that he will sign
and will shake the
whole world. How prepared is the team?
Yes, financially.
Speaking from where Oscar said there are those who climb, those things they happen.
Yeah, they happen.
They happen anywhere.
It is true.
Even.
But I'm saying it's going to worsen because of the limitation.
Even in Lugogo, people do
Yeah.
and they go and watch KCF fixture. So those are things that happen. We can't. But
I call it passion for the game.
Provided they are outside. We shall not cater for that. Those are people who want to risk their lives. They climb on their own, we don't do anything to them, we cannot go and change them. That's so bad, and you have to treat your neighbor as well.
No, but it will become so alarming that an Onduparaka fan fell from a tree and maybe loses the life. It will still, at least it will be attached to Onduparaka. There should be a remedy at least. Not that you will not care 100%.
The challenge, you see, everybody cares, but the challenge is, you see, when the game is going on, it becomes hard for somebody to go.
Yeah, concentration is in the pitch.
It becomes very, very hard.
We're taking a break after here and see how we are coming back up, because we want to come back and see how prepared is Onduparaka Football Club. And then, of course, he tells us much, because Onduparaka Football Club has not yet come up with an official statement about Adiga Morris. Is he still there? Is it true people received the resignation later? It's another big thing that we should be talking about. And then, of course, papers having that Tudu Bosco is in the camp of Onduparaka Football Club. How true is that? We shall be getting back to you. That is Drave, and see whether he will tell us more. And who is that big player that is saying will shake the world? One of the biggest things that we shall be knowing right here. We take a break. We'll be right back, and don't really move away from your TV.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
One of the biggest clubs in the region and of course in Uganda, of course since 2016 that they joined the Premier League and they're still active in the play is Nduparaka Football Club, where of course we did see recently. I was watching their fans on one of the sets and the fans talked a lot. I just got happy because the fans still looked very active. Talk about the likes of Giant Killer, still gave a lot of information about the club and how prepared they are for this very season, and we're expecting a lot of things that will still be coming from the same team. Nduparaka Football Club, couple of names have been signed in for the team and we are waiting to see how they will be performing. Just like last season they had a couple of names, but this season is also another one, more still being unveiled. And of course this time around the speed at which the unveiling is going, it is a slow pace, and maybe this is the time that they are going to be now winding up with the big bombs or the big names that are coming in there. But let's start with the question that I had posed before we took a break in there, and the question is, how prepared Nduparaka financially with all these signings you've got on board? Now Nduparaka Football Club is getting into the game, just like said, vaccination and other thing. How and then behind closed doors, let's say still, because 200 number is something very little. How prepared is Nduparaka to take the season?
We are prepared, and looking at you see, we trust in God. At a certain moment where you feel you are very low, you have to ask everything from God. Humility is very key, and most people think the club is struggling, but above all, as we try to ensure that we have stability in the club, and I always hint that we need organization. If a club is organized, well, the rest of the things will come by themselves. You see, when you are in an organized setting, anybody can come, will say, you have this for this, have this for this. But as long as you have good structures, that will work. I think it is very, very key for an organization to succeed. And it might be that people think the team will desperately, but one of the things that one highlight was when you want to go into business. So if looking at all our signings, we have narrowed our signings to players that are from 20 or even 18, 23, 24, 25, like most of our signings. Meaning we want to concentrate on business part, to business aspect of the game.
You start selling players off.
We want to begin to do business. So once those businesses materialize, and eventually you will see that the club will stabilize. If you sell one player at maybe 400 million, 500 million, or else 20,000, 100,000 US dollars, 200,000 US dollars, you'll find that that money alone can sustain the club for 2 seasons. And that's where we want to head to. We don't want to have a liability on one aspect, or else funds as the only income to finance the club. We want to look at other possibilities as well. That's why we have gone for, and we have signed, by the way, an agent's deal with the Sepuya. That gives us direct link to sell our players outside Africa. Now,
when it comes to Sepuya, it takes me straight to the question that comes in there is to do with Nduparaka Football Club, because Sepuya, the man in charge of Sepuya, of course, in the Western region is Dudu Bosco, is the coordinator, and of course is the one representing India. Is it true Dudu Bosco is with Nduparaka Football Club in the technical team?
We have not unveiled our technical team. What happened was when
he was contracted to scout.
First, give me time. when the season was off,
yeah,
and in coordination with the coach that we are going to unveil, he recommended as he is engaged, we give a bit of a few months contract to do Bosco to look at players that the team can be able to have, and ensure that he gave his age bracket. Says sometimes mature players are very difficult to work with and they're very expensive to handle. Looking at the scenario where Nduparaka was coming from, and eventually we gave him that, and we have not unveiled the technical team as he hinted, and I think the management is going to decide on which post to give, but it's true, Dudu Bosco is in the camp.
Okay.
I have one question.
Yes?
Was it a professional move to hire Dudu for 2 months contract when he was actively contracted with Midigo Calvary as the sporting director?
you see, we did not know any other thing. You see, if I go on to hire Oscar, you should know that you have something to do or you have resigned.
Yeah.
When you accept my
So
offer,
I should be very honest.
in an open job setting. When I took up the role at Mundupaka, I had to resign
Which is professional. I understand.
So we don't know, but when you gave him opportunity, that might have given him opportunity to resign. Or else I don't know what happened. He might have asked for a leave, because a leave as the
Leave without pay.
Yes, those options are there, but that's the fact.
According to the reports that came through in there, probably if you look at information, though Calmer has not yet come out so clearly putting it that they have parted ways with Dudu, but of course
Media
local
reports.
papers and media reports have indicated that they have parted ways.
To be honest, you see, Mundupaka has got that mutual understanding with Calvary, everything that they do. And that was in consultation of the management. That's why you see Calvary did not complain of anything.
Maybe the news did not reach you, but it doesn't mean that they did not complain. Now, my other point of contention is, you are talking about players that in the age of 18 to 20. I appreciate moves like that. But what does it mean? Because I've always said it here, when you look at a coach like Dudu, you can easily predict which players are going to be signed. Now, when you look at players like Agau, these are players who have been there, left, came back, likes of we're yet to unveil most of your players like Yakini. I mean, are those players good enough to push the agenda that you guys want to push? Like, do you think a player like those players can be modeled and sold because you're looking at the business?
You have just mentioned the 3 players. Is that right? Or 2?
I can't mention all of them, but these are just the cases.
I understand. You see, there are levels where you concentrate on, like in the business part of football. Yes, you want to sell a player, you think about the players who play in attacking role. That's our concentration. I know that I said we mixed experience with the young guys,
which is professional.
If you look at our concentration is attacking force. In 2 or 3 years' time, we should have sold. I think we will be able to sell. I think 2 or 3 players who play in the attacking role. You see, I know you have mentioned Agao, you have mentioned Yakini. Those guys, Agao basically, why we have signed him is you want to give that face, want to ensure that you see, he's our former player. If a player, that's like a prodigal son. If your son has gone a wall, welcome him. That's exactly what we did. It doesn't mean that we shall just we want to also ensure that we also give opportunity to
these are rejects from Arua Hill.
No,
they have been released because of not performing effectively.
That's why I'm saying a prodigal son is once a reject. Even the guy would ask for everything from you. I want to go away.
Give me my share.
You should have a forgiving heart and give opportunity to the talent that we have in Western Nile. And that will be a morale boosting one to these young ones. If a guy will still play, why can't I concentrate and do something better for myself?
One big challenge, on the same player, by then Agao is one player who has a business here, and that has always affected him so much.
Yes.
When it comes to the business aspect of it, you know what he
You want to do business with a businessman.
When it comes to training sessions, there are times there's been missing training sessions. There are times there's been. How are you going to handle this with Agao at Odukoraka Football
Doing
Club?
business with a businessman.
That is managing the human resource. That one, that answer will go to those ones in technical. That one I cannot answer here before the camera. Do you understand?
For me, I know there's one thing. Dudu Bosco is a scout for Sagrada, and now you guys, he's also representing Sepuya. Don't you think there's going to be conflict of interest professionally? Sagrada might want to bring in Muhammad Shaban. We want this player. Sepuya also would have struck a deal somewhere. So how do you expect this professionalism to be instituted?
You see, that when you talk about, when I said on the correct side, an agency deal, these players have their agents. A professional player must have an agent,
which is very, very rare in West Nile for now.
Not on the West Nile.
I'm just explaining. I'm building up the point. I say the professional player must
have that is
an agent. and somebody who deals, who should be able to coordinate and transacts everything in his life. So that bit where of Dudu's personality doing 2 or 3 things for some people, I know nothing about that. But when it comes to business, Duparaka will have to deal with the rightful person.
So how would you know that the rightful person? Because
no, we will be able to know. Here, Oscar, if you're a player, you should be able to know who negotiates on your behalf. That's exactly where we're going to start from.
So that brings me to one question before actually we get to the other side. I mean, we've had issues of players failing to manage their finances. At the end of it all, you have been in the game. We know that the players who have completely gone too broke. When you meet them, the other time I met Dan Wangaruka, I couldn't believe my eyes. Now it is worst here in West Nile. From an expert point of view in terms of finance, how should players handle their finances? And are you using your expertise to teach the players, especially you who's directly related with Onduparaka, to teach these players how to professionally handle their sign-on fee? Because they will only sign 2 years. I don't think there's any player in your camp who has signed 5 years. They will not sign. It is only 2 years so that they look forward to the next sign-on fee. So have you ever taken that initiative to advise the players, to teach players as a financial expert how they should handle their finances?
A week ago, I've been in the camp and I raised the critical issues about the use of information and use of the available resources that you have. You know, I have handled one player, that's like a brother, like Norman went to Calvary, and what I told him was a sign-on fee should be able to buy for your plot of land. When you get sign-on fee, don't be excited that this money is now very big and you can use it for anything that you want. This money is very little. Once you plug 10,000 out of 5 million,
you're less already.
You're already less. And know that if you're not critical enough, you lose 1 million in 1 week. I've always informed these players and I talk to them why you must learn how to save the little thing that you have. Don't live a life beyond your expectation. I interacted with one of the players that we signed and I'm very positive of what he has so far done. You see, if a player is able to buy a plot, I said at the end of 1 year, 1 season, you should be able to buy a plot and say this is 1 season's work that you have achieved. And that's where the players needed to be talked to. And for our players, we are going to have a career guidance for them. We are going to get experts who can be able to talk to these players. If it is me internally, they will not trust in sometimes what I say. They'll think that this is our normal interaction with the club here, and we are going to get people who can be able to talk to these guys on how they can manage personal resources. On top of what we have always been emphasizing internally. And that's exactly what we want. We don't want a player who comes and after his playing career is broke. You see, life in football is very short. The biggest life is after football. That our players needed to concentrate on. We're going to look at how we can be able to get some experts to talk to them about their career.
I think it's a very big one, but of course we're taking a break yet again to see that we take a very, very big move into the next lot. And I want to say, you're still watching West Nile TV, the Whistle Time, and it is live on your screens at channel 477, the Star Times decoder. And at the same time, we are streaming live on your YouTube channel. Just subscribe and then, of course, drop in your comment on that is the comment space in there to make sure that you ask those questions. And at the same time, you will be part of this show and we'll be interacting right with you instantly. And I want to say, don't move away from the TV.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
from that break, and I want to say we're still in the studios of a list of 3 names in there. We're still finalizing things that are happening here and there, and a lot of things that are still coming through, but we still need to know about local football and other things that keep coming. Of course, now this is one thing I want to take the PRO to. The funds is where mostly you deal with when it comes to assembling them, and of course leave them to the community or their leaders who are there. You need to really know what exactly they're going to do. A few days ago, I did see your funds, at least I could say those are the organized funds in Kampala, having a very good, of course, organization that came in through. How prepared are you to have the same team in West Nile region? Because that side, I've gone there several times, they look more organized than the ones on board in the West Nile region. So this season, what are your plans for these funds?
You see, funds is all about excitement. Once you're excited, you get funds, and once you organize, you will organize them. And one of the key things that I'm going to do to our funds is to have a meeting with them and let them get their responsible leaders who can be able to lead them into being organized. You see, you want to have a funds body that can be able to be part of the decision making of the club. That's where we're going to head to. We don't want, you see, there are scenarios where fans do not know what is happening in the club. That's very bad. Fans will be able to know the day-to-day operations of the club. They should have a representative. And once you have got a structure where fans are key decision makers and a part of the decision making, you'll find that club will be organized. You see, when you're disorganized, a fan can break a club in a day or else just in an hour. If anything that you do wrong, that fans do not know, will make it very bad. And keep fans informed. Be open to fans. Don't hide any information. As long as the information is, even if negative or good, as long as you want to make them know whatever is transpiring in the club, don't hide the information. Continue to be in touch with them throughout. And don't be emotional in your work. You see, a fan can come and abuse you. That does not mean you shoot back.
No, I can confirm something that
humility is very key.
I think you've learned a lot from your
no,
you've learned a lot from him.
You see, there's a scenario whereby whatever you learn, please put it in front practice.
Yes.
And then you see there are ways. If you know some bit of psychology, you can understand the human being and do it very, very well. I know how to deal with the human being, and I know how to deal with the character.
Is it because of your background the religious background?
Not the religious. I've been a teacher, by the way. That's the work that I did for almost 10 years. I've been a teacher. I know psychology of a human being. So it's not just overnight that I know how to. I have to learn from the teachers, but you have to learn when there are mistakes in the club. Please correct them.
Well, I think to me it's a good thing that even as a teacher, you can still make a good public relations officer. So the road does not start and stop there. But the other thing I wanted to put Ondunyiri, that has been the talk. Does that project still exist? And who hates that project? And where is the project heading to?
Looking at that, you see, when our focus changes, when we now change to a business form, I said we made mistakes in the past and we have regretted the mistakes that we've made. And we are very sorry, I must be apologetic. And we are going to, that's why I insisted on structures. Once we set off the structures and every structure is working, that project will continue. And at the right time, we will be able to account to our fans and to public on how far we have reached with that project.
So for now, that project is not there. You are yet starting. You are to restart it.
We are going to reorganize. Though we have some of the players that we have from that level, and you see where the country has been hit by COVID, FIFA was not strict on the youth system. That is the laxity that we've had over the few days, over the last, I think, 2 seasons.
Yeah.
So we are going to ensure that we work on that and correct.
Now, leaving that there, of course, if you look at some of the players, Nduparaka, the CEO did confirm some time back that they are going to be promoting two to three names in that is the system of Nduparaka Football Club, from the Ondunyiri to Nduparaka Football Club and the senior team. And then that is one big thing. But let's look at where you've been answering a lot of questions to the fans about Wijo, player who, of course, Araka is claiming to be theirs. And some people say this is our player because he has been with Ondunyiri. How did he get to Araka is another question. Then too, these players who have been in the academy, just look at 2 seasons. They have not been there. They have not been actively involved. And now, after getting a better club than Ondunyiri, that is like Araka Football Club, fans keep saying this is our player here and there. I saw you answering a lot of questions in different platforms to people. But how have you solved this issue with Araka Football Club?
You see, one fact is we must appreciate where these players have been playing from, right away from development. And if a player has moved to another club, we have to give respect to that club, especially Araka, because we don't want to be the only club that will play in LITE from this region. We must appreciate these other clubs and give respect to them. And I immediately, even before that issue arose on social, Araka went on social media, the guy called me and said, there's something like this that has happened. I straight away told him, we are very sorry. If there's anything pending, I did not know about it. Let's come on a round table and we sit and talk. And before the next day, I got it on social media. That was so unfortunate. But you see, the most interesting thing with the FUFA has given a lot of rights to the clubs. Once these are, well, even if the club is not a player is not contracted to the club, the player still remains in the system of the club. So those we took even so.
Where's the club? Where's the player?
One of the most
in the system of Onduparaka or in the system of Araka?
It's the player is in the system of Araka. But if a player does not have a contract with you, we do not want to go to FUFA and say that this player does not have a contract. This guy is
supposed to be the club.
That's why we want to have a mutual understanding with the Araka to see how we can compensate them for the 2 seasons the player has been with them, and then we also give opportunity for this player to develop. We shouldn't sit on talent. If you are talented, you shouldn't remain here and go to a BBC. That's where I want to be. So we don't have any negative feelings about any club. We love all the clubs that are in the West Nile. We also want them to play in the top 10.
Okay.
But we should give development to players.
So happens here. In netball, we'll be having KBK up against Police. That will be the National Netball League. Martin will be playing KCCA. NEC will be playing Prisons. And the table stand is very interesting. NEC is leading with 4 points. Then Martin there with 4. Police with 2. Prisons with 2. The rest are to play. My last question for the PRO is, what is the best advice that you can give to Arua Hill Soccer Club?
In terms of?
He knows. Any advice that can make Arua Hill progress, in your view, a positive advice, because you know.
And now he should be like an analyst.
Because not an analyst, he's a player. He has been in the game. He has, he has
learned, of course.
Yeah, you can see somebody from afar. What do you think those guys should correct?
One, those guys should. One of the things is flow of information in the club. You see, information should not come from everybody. I've seen before information. The club knows, you find people already talking about it. Then another thing is, you see, the Onduparaka has learned a lot in the last 5 seasons. So they should do benchmarking, should work as a team. When there are things that you see Arua Hill is doing well, I must ask them, how did you achieve this? When Onduparaka is doing something well, Arua Hill should as well do that. It's called benchmarking. You go to a fellow friend, if I see Oscar building a house, I should go to him, how did you get this? So we should be able to have that in Western Nile. If we keep on fighting each other, and yet this is the biggest moment for us to enjoy. One time in Ginger, there were 4 teams that are playing in the top tier, and the life was normal. For us here, when 2 teams are playing, life is abnormal.
It's division.
One big thing coming here is the derby.
Yeah, those things are normal, and we should take it as part of the game. In London, there are over 5 teams that play in the English Premier League, and life is very normal. We must go back to that life, avoid hatred, learn from each other, embrace and hug each other at the end of everything.
Now, of course, that's one of the biggest thing in there. That's the advice that comes in there. You take me straight to, of course, London, where you just talked about as we wind this session. And your Manchester United head coach, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, is one name. The board is saying they have no plans of sacking him. Fans, you as the fans are saying he should leave. And others, and plus analysts say that his tactics are not for Manchester United. He does not have the tactics. Do you believe in that? And do you see, or do you feel Ole should be fired? Before maybe I get to Oscar, who will tell me his team is doing well.
You see, since Alex Ferguson left, there were a couple of sackings, coaches leaving and coming on at will. But Manchester United have realized that since Ferguson left, there is no stability in the club. Every coach has got bad days and ways to learn. And what Solskjaer, I think those people want to give him more time, which is good for him to learn. He should be able to accept that
He's still learning.
he has the trust. Once you have the trust from the generation, please do extraordinary things to perform. That's what Solskjaer needed to do. But Sir Alex Ferguson also went through such scenario.
Yeah,
and
he almost even faced the sun.
So what the management as coming up to back him means he must concentrate on his job and do things, unique things that can be able to make him continue to be in that role.
Oscar, if you look at Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, do you see if given like 10 years, let's say, he will change the face of Manchester United?
I must appreciate one thing with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Ever since Sir Alex Ferguson left, there has not been any coach who has come with a style of play and has created identity and has been sticking to it. And look at Louis van Gaal. Manchester United in their history had never played the back 3. Now you want to come and bring the likes of Di Maria to play as a wing back. I mean, what will you get out of him? Now, he didn't live long, went.
Moyes
Interim
was
of,
there
okay,
at
there
first.
was that interim of Ryan Giggs, which to me did not materialize well. Ryan Giggs equally did not have an identical style of play. David Moyes, at Everton, Moyes would play a 4-2-2-2, but sometimes they play it as a 4-4-2. It depends on how you 4-5, how you transit in between formations. Now, he came in. My challenge with him was he didn't have pedigree. You can't bring somebody that Ryan Giggs has won more trophies than as a player. You think they're going to respect him? But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has come with a 4-2-3-1. Week in, week out, he will not change it, and he's getting players to fit into the game. What I think now is there's too much expectation. People expect Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to flourish like Pep
Guardiola.
But Pep Guardiola has been in the game. He has seen it. He has actually done a lot
In different leagues, moreover.
He is actually trying to experiment something that no any other coach can actually risk. Trying to play the whole season without a reliable centre forward. And look at the game against Chelsea. I think that's a plus. That's where you get to know the difference. Look at Jurgen Klopp at Liverpool. He has come with this 4-3-3. He's sticking to it. And one of the things that should be given out, give the coach time, because sacking a coach is not to me one of the immediate solutions. Because right now you sack Ole, you bring in Antonio Conte. The back 3 will come in. How many players in the United team will adapt?
To learn spending one season and wins for FA Cup, he vanishes.
So to me, honestly, I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, given time, he can improve the team. Though the pressure and the impatience has come in that United has taken too long to win the Barclays Premier League. That's what everyone is now waiting for. But again, look at the games that he has played. You play against West Ham. West Ham is not an easy team. West Ham is not a team you're going to walk over to beat 5-0. Even if you bring West Ham against Chelsea, even if against Liverpool. They were not just going to have it easy. Then they lost against
Aston Villa.
It's not an easy thing. The young boys thing, come on. It was not Ole. Ole was not the one who asked Arsene Wenger to give that ball for the guy to score. Those things happen in the game. So however, I think what is happening now, United fans are just impatient. They now know of the hype. Ronaldo is here. They think it's a guarantee. We must be winning every game. But wait for Ole to win one game. Nobody's talking. Let him lose. Everyone is developing talking points.
Now, for Manchester United to buy a player, according to the bookmakers, indicate that they should sell Paul Pogba. And Paul Pogba now has not signed a contract. Do you think Man U needs to do some business in January?
No, that team is okay.
Okay.
That team is okay. Even individually, Manchester United players are better than Manchester City players.
True.
Individually, in terms of talent.
Yes.
You don't need anything more. Or maybe you convince Pogba to sign another contract.
Maybe I think Ole should be able to incorporate those talents of the players to function as a team. And that's where Pep Guardiola becomes a genius.
Yeah.
You have your own strength, and just like any other people have, how do you use that strength of yours to benefit the team? I think that's one aspect Ole needs to build slowly. He's also learning. He has not done this before, but I am happy that United trusted him, and he has not so much disappointed to me. I mean, taking you to Europa final, and you lose in the final. How many teams fell off before reaching actually at the final? So the expectation to me this time, Ole should win a trophy. I don't care whether it's the Premier League, whether it's the FA Cup, but he should win a trophy. And again, he should go find the UEFA Champions League, one of the yardstick now. You have every player. You have a reliable Cristiano Ronaldo. So me, I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's time at United is going to be this season. If he doesn't win, then I don't see him beyond that.
One last thing we want to talk about is Arsenal Football Club, who are looking forward, of course, to get another goalkeeper. You have Ramsdale, you have Ben Leno, and you are looking forward to get the man who is still on a ban. I'm talking about Andre Onana in there. Would each bring competition in the team? Three names in the team. You look at these names. Look to be big names in the team. And now Andre Onana is another one who is coming. Probably Arsenal is looking forward to bring in there in the January. Will it bring competition to the Leno and the Ramsdale?
Andre Onana would actually be a starter for me when it comes to Arsenal. I don't buy into these scams of Aaron Ramsdale. I mean, and then
you see it as a scam?
That's a scam to me. He's still a player. He shouldn't be not be attracting all this hype. Ben Leno is by far better than him. But you know, players have their
good days,
bad days. It happens to me. But if you bring Andre Onana and you're telling me he's going to play second fiddle to Aaron Ramsdale, from where?
See, at one time I said English goalkeepers are never top goalkeepers. They're just deceivers.
They're overrated.
One time, Manchester United thought Dean Henderson is far much better than David De Gea, but they got off their pride and they concentrated on De Gea. And English goalkeepers, I don't even Leno is better than Ramsdale. It's just, you see, it's just form. When a player is not on form, he's in support of the player psychologically, physical and emotionally. Then the player will be good. Have confidence in the resource that you have. If you don't have, who is going to have? Leno is far much better. It's all about time and lack of form.
My problem with Arsenal is, why did Arteta release Emiliano Martinez to go? And in that period where Ben Leno was not doing well, Martinez took over, did well, won the FA Cup. In fact, virtually did everything needed for any player to do. They should have left him to. In fact, they should have not been going for Ramsdale. They should have actually been having him. By now, to me, should have actually beaten Ben Leno to become.
What Oscar said is spot on. Most of the Arsenal's released goalkeepers have gone on to shine.
Are doing better.
Very better. Even you could look at Juventus.
Fabianski at West Ham.
Most of their released goalkeepers are doing perfectly well. Meaning they have got problem on holding on to the available talents that they have.
Hollywood or maybe the available resources. Now, let's look at this, and I want to say thank you so much for watching, of course, West Nile TV in the Whistle Time. But in just maybe seconds before we leave here, what is your say to the fans who are viewing us right there about maybe, because the league is soon starting, what is your final say to them for today?
Yeah, interesting.
We still come back.
I should know that Onduparaka is still existing. We have assembled a very strong team that is going to compete in the league. We don't want a team that's going
not to participate.
No, to compete in the league.
Okay, the team is here to participate, but of course, Oscar, to the locals in Zeu and Nebipaida, you can wrap it up as we get this over the hooks in there, as Onduparaka is on set, and by the Black Angels did release also their squad that will be playing in the regional league for next season. I mean for this season.
After checking that, I'm checking in West Nile TV. So me waste your time. I be look at being kubangi being ikilembe timbre ilem tugu ishak ikine matongtung beneno nia omiku iliniech ikomlembe muche kan timbre team mutie kama bor ngenya webi ni bengu sa mokuchi beneno nia wakelu man ke obed karashem kodwa West Nile TV maolo waste your time.
We right here, and we want to say thank you so much for viewing and for watching us wherever you've been. But of course, it has been the Whistle Time, and we're saying keep hooked to your TV, because the next program is another best one coming up next. So stay hooked as we say bye-bye.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.